the drummer in the room. Not the crazy one behind the drums, the one behind the scenes, setting the vibe, choosing the members of the band, setting the intention for the music, and bringing their whole selves to the performance. This is leadership from the viewpoint of a drummer band leader. Let's dive right in. Now, recently, I premiered a new piece about African Americans, both free and enslaved, who fought, lived, and worked on the Couturier Bridge historic site. Needless to say, this was some heavy, heavy material. So each rehearsal, I started out with some free time for my musicians to talk and just release the baggage that they had brought into the room. And then before we played a note, I talked about the research that I had done. I talked about the stories that I had chosen to highlight about these Black men and women. And then we started playing. And the playing was magical because everyone understood the intention behind the music. They understood what our mission was, to bring these stories to life. And we had moments of laughter, tears, anger, and resolution. Lillian Yell, singer-songwriter, is the queen of this. Her music is a combination of her upbringing in the Bronx, her Cuban heritage, and jazz. And it comes with complex melodies and beautiful lyrics. She takes us from Cuba to Brazil, to Montgomery, Alabama, to Brooklyn and back again, all in one set. Before we start rehearsals and performances, there's always time to hang and get to know each other again. And then that hang continues even between pieces and rehearsals, so we have time to reset our souls into the next space that we're about to climb into. Now, the first time I saw this applied in the boardroom was when Bernard Hill became president of the Delaware Institute for the Arts and Education. The Delaware Institute for the Arts and Education is an organization that brings the arts to students K through 12 and professional development to teachers about how to bring the arts to their classroom, all classrooms. He began starting board meetings with some informal time for us to get to know each other and the staff again. These are just quarterly board meetings every 3 months, so we don't get to see each other much. And then from there, we did a mission moment when a teaching artist or the artistic director would take us through an exercise that she had recently brought to a school. And once that happened, when we jumped into our regular board agenda, we were all aligned. We were all right together. And when we started attacking these issues of finance and impact, we looked at it through the lens of the teachers and the students who we served. How can we impact their lives more? And how can we remove these barriers to sustainability? When you first bring together your team, make sure they can feel the mission. Whether it's rolling out augmented reality Oculuses on your manufacturing line, or it's dinner service at your restaurant. A team that understands the mission is going to move with synchronicity and harmony. A team that doesn't is going to need to be micromanaged and won't understand the mission as well as you do. Let's talk about that team. Now, when I choose the players that I'm going to write for, that I'm going to play for, I choose with intentionality, and there's several things that I think about. One is, what do I need in the room? What are the sounds? What is the tonal palette? And we're looking at a string quartet, a funk band, a jazz band, right? Those are pretty important things. Let's get that out of the way first. But also I'm looking at how does each individual player play their instrument? How do they approach their instrument? Then I think about, what do they need? What do I need to make sure the vibe inside of the room lives? Do I need to balance some personalities? Third, I'm thinking about, is this an opportunity to bring somebody new into the fold, to deepen, to bring more depth to my roster or my list of potential collaborators? I know that you don't always get to choose your teams, but when you do, choose with intentionality. A team with diversity brings ideas to the table that you will never have thought of. Also, think about how those personalities mesh. How can I make sure that I can bring these two people in the room, and now what's going to happen? I'm always on the lookout for those connections that can happen. All right, so now we're on the bandstand. Next up is the performance. When we start the performance, in 6 numbers, I communicate a myriad of parameters. We're talking about speed, dynamic, feel, intensity, the style. Check it out. Check it out. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Check this one out. 2, Or 1, 2, 3. Go ahead, you can put your arm around your girl. And now we're off and running. Now, right away, my attention goes to the bass player, and I'm listening to them. And I'm making sure that we're locked in, because we're the foundation for what's about to happen. And so once that foundation is locked, now I can begin to listen to the other players. And we're all communicating about dynamic and feel and speed and where we are in the music, gaining more confidence in each other so that we can take more risks as we play this music. Yeah, the music I play is improvised, but we won't go down that line today. After your mission moment, think about what your count off is going to be. And it should be short, quick bullets. Think about the time. Like what is my timeline for this project? What is the problem that we're going to solve? By the end of your count off, your team should know exactly why they're in the room without you having to say each one of their names. Then listen. Listen. Is each member bringing their whole selves to the problem? Is anybody dominating the conversation? Listen. Are they moving at a speed that they can go past the obvious into new ideas while still not losing momentum? Listen. Now, when I write for the voices in my band. Not just the instruments, but like I said before, how those players play those instruments. But I recently realized that I wasn't writing for one of those voices, and that was my own. I was always placing myself in a purely supportive role. So when I began working on this latest premiere, I set an intention that I would write for all the voices that were going to be playing this music, including my own. And when we started rehearsing it, the music was magical. It was completely different than anything I'd ever written, because I was bringing my whole self into this conversation with my musicians. Honor the voices you bring into the room. You brought those voices into the room because a strong team is diverse and brings together ideas and solutions to issues and from directions that you would have never thought of. Make room for those voices to be a part of the conversation and the decision making, but do not hide your voice. Do not mute yourself. If you've created a space that can allow differing opinions to be debated, allowing the best to rise to the top, your voice needs to be a part of that conversation. Study your craft, know your team, lead with intention. As Duke Ellington once said, a great band with a mediocre drummer is a mediocre band. A mediocre band with a great drummer is a great band. Thank you.